We're changing photos from a spreadsheet today. This video is part of a series, so if you haven't checked out the other videos yet, I encourage you to pause and go back and watch those because I'm going to skim through some of the same things that I showed you in that other video just to quicken the pace here. In this video, we're going to focus on photo assets in particular. I'm going to show you how I stored, named, and wrote an expression within my spreadsheet in order to call up the photos to make our lives as easy as possible. Of all the assets, I want to change the name, the school, the points, the assists, any of the title text down here, the numbers, and the tagline. And most importantly, I'm going to talk about how we can use an image and change that dynamically through the spreadsheet in this tutorial. So that's all stuff that you should be able to figure out based on the last tutorial that I created. The big difference here is with the images. So let me quickly walk through how you can set up an image. So I go to Window, Templater 3, and up in here, you're going to see footage, and that is where we want to link up. So quick overview to attach my data. I have my Google Sheet here outlined with the b-ball stat. So let me just pull up my Google Sheet just so you can verify that this is all the same. You can see BALLERFX b-ball down here. That is right here. And it's in the player b-ball stat. So player b-ball stat is up top here. This is the Google Sheet. And then this is the tab within that sheet saying that this is the one that I want to work off of. Okay, so that's all set up. Good to go there on data. Footage. Now the thing about footage is you need to have an absolute path. There are two types of paths, a relative path and an absolute path. For Templater, you want to use an absolute path, which basically just means that you want to have a defined location of where these photos live. One of the best ways to do this is by adding a folder to your desktop and putting the photos directly in that folder. That is an absolute path, and that's what we're going to do here. So I actually have an athlete headshots folder and player photos. So if I hit this ellipsis, Templater, athlete headshots, and player photos. So now that we have that linked up, I'm just going to hit save so that all of our settings save here. So again, if you remember from the other video, these column headers all need to reference a layer. So I have stat-01 space number, stat-01, and everything is identical. I just want to stress, I can't stress that enough. Everything is identical from the column header to the layer name so that with the setting applied, that this layer will be affected by the spreadsheet. So I have player name, opponent, all the way across, tagline, and then my player photo. So we linked our footage to our path, or we linked our photos to our path, and you'll notice I did something when I was naming my photos. I actually used the last name within the title, and I also made sure that these were the same size. So if you have your photos all taken in the same spot, most like a headshot or a media day style shoot, this is going to be really easy for you. Everything should be about the same size and with similar framing. So I actually went ahead and did that because I pulled these photos. But it is important to note that I labeled these specifically with their last name, and that was on purpose. So what I'm doing here, you could go through and enter names if you wanted to, but let me copy this and go down here and paste it. And I want to change this to 9. And it should give me an error, right? Saying value. But what's cool about this is I can add, let's just say Kristen Watts. All right, so that automatically filled this for me. So let's quickly talk through why that is. So there's an expression here, equals index, and I'm saying to look at A9. So A9 is where my player name is. I'm saying look at A9 and split it where there's a space. So first name and last name, there's a space between. So it's splitting at the space, and then I want to call out 2. So first name is 1, second name is 2. So I want to call out the second name and put it over here. And I want to, in a string, add .jpg for JPEG. So anytime I am adding a name, it is splicing out the last name and appending .jpg over here to the player photo. And that just saves me time from having to input this data myself. And because I have all my photos named with the player's last name, I know that it is automatically going to populate within this file path that the image that I'm looking for based on the name is going to be found. So I just wanted to call that out. You can, we can add everything else in between here, but let's go ahead and load our data here. So Kristen Watts. And since this is on the last one, you can see 10. So nothing is showing up. But if I go back, we are going to get Ricky Wise, Fine Arts Paradise, 11 points, and all the way down. And if I scrub down here, should say keep creating. Great. So just because I hadn't filled out this last row, it wasn't returning anything initially, but now it is. So we are all set, and that was a quick overview on how to link up photos and then tie photos to a player last name to make your life a little bit easier within the spreadsheet. All right, so now that we see this working, let's go ahead and follow through with the output so we get a little bit of repetition there. So my render status all says done. I can get rid of that because we want it to say ready. And I first need to go into my preferences here. So let's pull this up. What comp do we want to output? So I'm in player stats main. I want the BALLERFX B-ball comp because that's the comp that I have that will loop. So let's select that up here. My action is render. Great. And then down here, just need to make sure I'm active, and that should be all I need to do. So hit OK. Go over here and enable bot. Let's give ourselves a little bit more space here. So it says it's enabled. And if I go open my spreadsheet again now, I can list these all as ready. I'm not going to do that last one. And when Templater Bot and Google Sheets link up, we will see these columns start to change to queued, and then it's begin processing from the top down. And again, I am rendering these at H.264 because it's a direct output now within AE 2023, and that allows me to have a final output upon the render for a quicker upload so that we can keep things moving quickly. All right, so it just finished. And I had my destination here already outlined from that last video to be templater, render, watch, output. So when these are finished, I want to go ahead and just pull that up. All right, so over here, let's see, render, watch, output. All right, so we have all these new assets. They were just created. Look at that. That one just finished. It's good to go. Rendered. Post it. Get it posted.